Hey yo everybody, it's Johnny5 Alive here. Today we're going to be doing a full breakdown for one of the 4 community collab contest parks, along with an interview with the park designer themselves. Just a quick reminder, I've already posted the community contest rules video. Links to that will be down in the description below. Don't forget to come join us on Discord and sign up to participate in this fun event before the end of the week. So let's get into the park and interview. Hey everybody, it's Johnny5 Alive here, and I am joined with Master Engineer02.
Hey yo.
And today we're going to be checking out Gamma Galaxy, a full overview / interview with Master Engineer. Just getting you into the thoughts in the mind of the Master themselves. The engineer, we're going to get you guys thinking like engineers. And one thing that sets your park different from everybody else's is you have 3 different environments. It's all the same theme, but it's on 3 different environments with 3 different aesthetics and feel. So in some ways, it is like 3 different themes, but it's all sci-fi utopian. But the areas are different, correct?
Yep. Yeah, they definitely are unique.
Yeah. So with the Sir Alan's, which we last featured, he had 2 distinct different themes in one area. Yours is all one sci-fi theme, but 3 different areas and 3 different feels. So there will be something that sets them apart, that makes them look different. And that is the constraining factor. That is the challenge here. How can you build within the water-powered area, still make it sci-fi, still make it utopian, but also make it feel cohesive within this land, but different from these, right?
Yep.
So very cool. Before we jump into things, to get people building before they get their plot, I mean, yours is the last video. So at the moment this video comes out, we're probably already figuring out who's doing what and potentially even getting people building. But this video is there for whoever's starting. They can listen to these while they build, and they can get a better understanding. It's a great resource to have online for the coming weeks, as people aren't going to be building these things in a day. Well, I say that, but some people will. But
you never know.
You never know. So community extras, what can people get started on for all the extra little bits that are going in the negative space that's outside of your plots that you might find helpful to place around your park for extras? And considering we have 3 different areas, why don't we start here with the water planet? I'll let you take it.
Yeah. For the water one, and kind of for all of them too, I think I can just say, starting off, for every single one, just some spaceships, like smaller ones would be good, just to kind of park those around the area, maybe even in the sky, see them flying around would be really cool. Also some just gadgets and gizmos, sci-fi stuff would also be really cool. For this one in particular, lots of water wheels, maybe just water-powered gadgets, maybe some more towers that collect rain would be cool. And then sci-fi, just also all the sci-fi things would be good for any land, but for this one in particular, water wheels, it's kind of hard to do water in particular.
Yeah.
So because the only thing you can really think of as a water power is that water wheel or the dam, which always involves a turbine.
You could also do like water fountains.
Oh yeah, for sure. To just kind of add some more water into the area.
Yeah, so you can do some cool fountains that are made out of sci-fi stuff, and then, it's a fountain, you make water come out of it, so, little statues and things like that. I'm sure somebody's out there thinking of it, but just try to, when you're building stuff for these different areas, think about the color palettes that are involved of the areas, how the color palettes make the areas feel distinct and unique. So if you are making a spaceship, technically that spaceship could probably work in any of the 3 lands, right? But it's like, okay, well, now I can take that spaceship and color it a little bit to make it feel more for the water overgrown land of sorts. Maybe if you're doing like a sci-fi ship for the overgrown area, maybe it is an old ship that's been buried by like leaves and trees and has moss and ivy growing out of it. Like it hasn't ran in 100 years, right? It's been overgrown.
Yeah, or maybe
chilling.
Yeah, or maybe it's also part boat where it can actually go on the water too.
Yeah, you can make boats or ships that land on water that have some sort of hydro interaction there. So same thing with the solar city, dryland. Try to find, put solar panels on your ships and vehicles. And I think even some dusty Land Rovers, some Mars Land Rover style things would be really, really good over here. Whereas in that area, boats would be more welcome. And then over here, I definitely think some Land Rovers and things could work here as well. So
yeah,
think about all those fun little things. If you want to make a ship and you just want to get started, go build a spaceship and then color it according to the area that it's most suitable in, or go make a rover, go make a vehicle. Another one is like little satellite dishes and turrets. I know you already have a plot for someone to make turrets, but if they want to make some little extra ones that are, just extra fortification, you can put them around the little mountaintops and borders of the park. So I think that'd be very good. So there you guys go. That's something you can get started on now. We're going to hop over to your documentation and just review anything that you have to talk about there and see what it has to say for the people that didn't read it but want to listen to what's in there. All right, so we got Gamma Galaxy table of contents background. So it's a futuristic sci-fi park through multiple planets, all revolving around different types of energy production. The world is set far in the future. It's a utopia with high-tech vehicles, sleek spaceships, quick travel, and technology far beyond our own. This galaxy is clean, sleek, and pristine. Cities reach high into the skies with beautiful skyscrapers. This high-tech futuristic universe brings guests on a galactic journey through the worlds never before seen. Very, very cool. And with that, we have 3 different planets. Each planet will have a city area where guests can walk. Inside each city will be shop, scenery, and ride unique to the planet. Farther out will be coasters exploring most of the planet, establishing it more and showing more of what the planet has to offer. So our first planet is Desert Iridex, solar-powered. Iridex. Terrain is mostly red sand and rock. Cracks in the planet create massive canyons deeper and larger than anything on Earth. Snow is Cryonia, powered by wind. Snowstorms come through regularly. Buildings need to withstand that. Ice has formed arches throughout the world and the snowy plains. So that's something I never really thought about, is if you are making these buildings, I guess you can actually put snow and icicles and stuff on them.
You could, but also, you can't have, with the wind and the tall skyscrapers, you can't have too high or too small of a base, or else they might topple over. So they gotta look strong in the high winds.
Right. And then with that, you can add some contraptions like things that catch wind, like windmills and stuff, on the buildings so that they could be self-powered like a solar panel building would be. And then jungle is Lushara, powered.
I think it's Lushara.
Lushara.
I got these names from AI, so.
Nice. Powered by water, the rain is collected and used to generate power through water wheels, dams, and more. This dense jungle has skyscrapers. Now, before we go further, I just want to jump back into game here and talk about an interesting talking point for the people that are interested in building coasters. What we see a lot of the parks that we have to offer are these big borders saying, make a coaster here. I think yours is by far the most expansive and sort of unique and creative for people that enjoy making traversal style coasters or exploration coasters, right? So you've kind of like dug out this area here and said like, go nuts, make a coaster in this area. It's so much to a point where people get to just have fun making a really good coaster and don't have to worry about the theming as much. Like in some of the other parks, there are like these small little areas and you have to figure out, how am I going to make a compact coaster? How am I going to theme it? And how am I going to do that with 4 to 8K pieces with the boarding station? Whereas here, you can make like a really cool station. That's like the main spaceport or whatever the hub is, whatever the theme is. But then the rest of the coaster can really just have fun going through all of this terrain. And that pretty much like seals the deal right there. Like, yeah, you can put some extra rocks down. You can do some fun foliage. You can do some crashed ships. You can, throw in some little bits here and there, whatever you think is good. But for those who just really enjoy making a fun coaster layout, I think yours excels probably the most out of all 4 parks.
Yeah, I think I really like the idea of not having too compact of a coaster. So these are very not going to be your standard layouts of coasters. And I wanted that. I wanted them to go explore it and then, create little buildings, maybe little research points here and there, just dots around where the coaster goes and explores, just to kind of a way to make the park and the land bigger without having to have a bunch of plots to fill that space as well. The coaster goes and explores those points themselves.
Right, yeah. So you're pushing the map further, you're pushing the park out further, but it's mainly just the coaster that explores those outreached areas. So with that, is there any flexibility that you have with these? Like, so if I come in here and I make the coaster go up and over, will you maybe later on add more snow to that later? Or what happens if I really want to go down a little bit more? Will you dig that out? Like if people kind of push the coaster a little bit further?
Yeah, I mean, the borders aren't hard set in stone. Obviously, you don't want to get too close to the other plots just because you don't know what those people are building. But onto that hill, you can totally go up against that hill even closer if you wanted to, into the cracks. And then if you want to go underneath the ground at different points, just let me know in a blueprint or message me somehow. Just in the blueprint, just let me know somehow, and I will totally do some terrain work to make sure the coaster is fitting into the world properly.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, go nuts.
Yeah, like if you were to get the blueprint and you see the coaster goes clearly underground, you're just going to dig it out a little bit more.
Yeah, of course.
And if you get a coaster that goes really, really high, you can bring up some of this terrain a little bit higher, or maybe you just have like a coaster going up here a little bit. You could bring the ground up, or, that can all be modified a little bit more in the polished state to make the terrain interact with the coaster slightly better. But I think the base layout here that you've given people for terrain definitely makes for more of exploration coasters. So I think these ones are a little bit more of a fun playground for those who are interested in making coasters. So I think something to consider when you guys are, signing up for coasters in particular. If the type of coaster you like to make is exploration, I definitely feel like this park is the strongest for that aspect.
Yeah, I also think the coaster plots are great for the community extras, because we can fill a whole bunch of them in those areas.
Absolutely, yeah. All those little community extras can just be decoration around the coaster, which can not only help theme the coaster that somebody built, but help fill the area. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. I like it. So inspiration images, we have, this is a look at basically the the ice planet.
Yeah, this is kind of just general sci-fi stuff, and then the next few pages are kind of more specific, but just to kind of get
gotcha.
just more ideas of the sleek, clean, pristine look we're kind of going for.
Yeah, and you do have a plot for turrets. This is obviously what you had in mind, but as we talked about community extras, we can not only have the dedicated plot, but extras. So even if you wanted to build something kind of wacky and crazy like this, the spherical dome with a light in there, and it's this crazy blueprint, or even these guns here, they like just stick themselves to a side of a mountain. I think setting in blueprints like that and you could just wedge them about these are quite good extras too. Even though they're quite big in scale, we could actually fill the terrain up quite nicely with that kind of stuff, right?
It'd be good for the background for sure.
So yeah, the style here is more futuristic utopian than Planet Coaster sci-fi. There's a lot of pieces in Planet Coaster that are big, bulky, they end up feeling very noisy and the same. Other than like the turrets and the militaristic stuff, or the contraptions that either harness energy or generate energy or collect energy, those are the things that are the pieces that come in the game that are more Planet Coaster sci-fi will be useful there. But in terms of like the main skyscrapers, the buildings and stuff, you're gonna have to really get your thinking cap on in terms of how am I gonna make something look and feel sleek and clean, and you're probably going to be using a lot of those vinyl plastic shapes and stuff like that, right? But building out like the top, how do you like round it in, how do you make different bases, like how do you tie it all together after, and then how do you cover that with like lights and panels to make it look interesting? So these are big sci-fi pieces that have never really been attempted in a way like this in Planet Coaster. Now obviously like these archways and doorways and stuff, they're a little bit more techy because they have like working parts and lots of lights, so you would probably be expected to see more of this stuff on the ground level and base level of like doorways, archways, entranceways, building entrances, and all that sort of stuff. Here's a look at the sci-fi planet. Lots of wind turbines. So, draw some inspiration from that and how the wind turbines look. I think you have a whole turbine field.
Yep.
So somebody can make some really cool turbines and do something with that over there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how those turn out.
Yeah, there's a lot of lower. I don't know how much. I think that would be a good extra. See, like these buildings on the ground here, almost like low riding, because like the wind can't catch on them. So they're like great for landing vehicles on. They're great for just like being low to the ground.
Yeah, just little shelters.
Little shelters. So those could be community extras that you could put around like the coaster area. Right?
Yep.
Okay, now we have the desert area, lots of solar panels. Here they are. We had a discussion about this, but they reflect the color of the sky, but the sky here might be a little bit more dusty and red. So, you know, what color do you make a solar panel? I was thinking black by default, but then, you know, they're normally blue because they reflect the sky, but I would imagine on a desert planet like this, the sky would look more like this, right? Be like super dusty and
sunset.
Almost like a red sky. So I don't think the solar panels would be blue. If anything, they'd be like almost like an orangey black, right? I think this image kind of depicts it quite nicely. It's like black with an orange hue on it. So be interesting to see how, if somebody wants to do some solar panels on their buildings, we should all kind of stick to the same you know, likeliness. But you can recolor them. Hopefully they're in a group, but
yeah, that could be nice. I do have a predetermined color for the solar panels, which is kind of that darker bluish, but I think once all the stuff is in, it definitely might change.
Yeah, for sure.
Because in some ways, it's almost like if you do make them reddish, and just like, okay, well, what are these? But when you, like, you know, the classic black or blue, you kind of get the idea to come across easier that they are solar panels.
Right. Yeah, so for the water world, we have like a color palette for it, but the kind of important factor that you're going for here is making sure everything's overgrown. So while it is heavy on the water creates life, and then life grows. So there's going to be naturally a lot more, you know, vegetation. So when you are making buildings, and like I said with the vehicle example, you can have a vehicle that's like been just sitting there for 100 years and it's got like moss growing on it and stuff. You can stain it green a little bit. Originally you had green in your color palette, and it's like, well, the green's going to come naturally from all the foliage that people add. So when you are making skyscrapers and buildings in this area, you can think about like how they use hydroponics to grow, you know, vegetation, and you can incorporate different bits of greenery on your balconies and on your rooftops, and you can almost like build in little grow ops and stuff into like glass rooms. Like you could see into the building, and they're growing stuff in there. So like little
some greenhouses.
Greenhouses. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then like water wheels and stuff. Catching water. You could have a building like pouring water out the side, and it's dropping onto something else that's generating something else. You do a lot of really cool stuff. So those are the different concepts of the 3 different planets. Let's hop into game and talk about some of them a little closer. Well, first of all, I've been asking this question to everyone. Do you have a favorite building and why, and what advice would you give to the builder?
Ooh, favorite building,
or favorite
I think
plot.
It's probably
like
I think it'll be plots for me. The kind of starport sci-fi food trucks we were talking about. I'm really excited to see how those turn out, because these plots, you know, I want them to have. We discussed the big food trucks that are the 3 main shops that we have on the plots, and then it could be multiple little ones or one big one. But then I also would love to see some also kind of airport style features in there, just to kind of make it feel like, oh yeah, that, you know, they're helping the ships land in this area, make sure it's safe,
right?
Just to have a bit of infrastructure around these huge ships that are going to be landing here. I think would be really cool.
So it's a fun talking point, because originally you had these like, it was like buildings, they were like landing ports, but you wanted a restaurant included, and I was like, why not make them into space food ships, right? So this is like a really for the people that love making shops but like going off the cusp with it. Here you get to make basically delivery food ships, and like the actual building, or whatever you call this, like the you know, the shop thing will be inside the ship. So like you'll probably have like a ramp going up, and you go up the ramp into the ship and get your juice or whatever. But the whole ship, you get to decorate it with like the Pip Shop stuff. So it's like the Pip Shop has come and landed into this area. So you can make the landing pads, you can make the landing lights, all the like the safety stuff that you talked about. Maybe even like a little tower, like an air communications tower, and that sort of thing, and some fun lit strips and stuff. little landing pads. But then what you really get to have fun with is using the pieces to make little ships. Now, I think we talked, is it like minimum one, but you can do extras? One large ship or multiple smaller ships. So you could do like a one like 500 piece ship, or you could do like one massive 2,000 piece ship, or one crazy 4,000 mother ship, you know? So yeah, like, you know, if you're into building ships and you're into building shops, now you get to make the ship shops, and you have one of these for every area.
Yep, every single planet. So I'm really excited to see how those turn out differently and see how unique they become.
Yeah, exactly. So like, not only is the color palette going to set it off differently, but the actual shop, like more of the colder foods are over here, more of the hot finger foods are over here, and then you have like the watery drinks and stuff over here. So you have like distinct feels to make them, you know, like branding's going to set them apart. The area itself, the color palette, so they're going to be like completely wildly different. And then the volume, so does somebody go with 3 ships, or does somebody make one giant cosmic cow mothership, right? And I think that's going to be really fun to see how those come together. So I'm with you on that in terms of like favorite, in terms of creativity and stuff like that. I also already previously talked about how I personally really like your coasters in this area. I've done the exploration coaster contest, like hosted that like 2 or 3 times now, and I'm always like, I love it when people just carve out a nice landscape and then just let me ride a coaster through it. Just let me go. And you've already set some really cool terrain. We'll have to talk about if we're allowing people to actual tunnel into some of this terrain, but I couldn't see it being a big issue if they just ran the coaster in there and then you dug a hole later, right?
Yeah, I think for this one, it would be a little bit more challenging just because of the landscape, but also because the dark ride is going to be underneath some of this section. So for this one, I think if you want to go underground, you can keep it, just make sure it's above the water line.
Like here.
Just so that way,
like
that way
it goes in here and comes out here, something.
Yeah, just so that way the builder for the track ride doesn't have to worry about coasters going through their dark ride at any point.
Yeah, and the more like water areas you have in this game, it becomes very difficult, like once you can't get the water back. So yeah, like they have to dig it out pretty far away from the actual volume of the water, but that doesn't look too deep to me. So
yeah,
shouldn't be too much of an issue. Yeah, so I definitely like the idea of an exploration coaster. Now, how can you incorporate the coaster, like the world theme, into your coasters? And I also love that about exploration coasters. What coaster did you use and why? You have the water elements. You have some coaster suggestions here. Choose one of 3. You got a inverted coaster, all 3 types. So does it come really close to the ground? Do you have a splash effect when it goes by? You know, that sort of thing. How can you make it a bit more of a wet and wild experience to match that of the overgrown planet? But then, like, do you use moss and ivy and grown stuff and make the supports of the coaster almost hidden, like weeds and stuff have been growing over it for years? So there's a lot of fun things that you can do thematically with the coasters in each of the different areas, right?
Yep.
And I really love that.
One thing I do want to point out is on the coaster in the solar planet. It's an RMC. But what I think would be really cool, and what I want the builder to do is and then we'll allow the pieces for this, is to do full custom steel supports for an RMC.
Oh, I don't know
so
about
I think
that.
that'd be really. I think it'll be interesting to try, and like obviously I think the lower sections could have that wooden structure, but I think it'd be interesting to see what you could do with a RMC style track, do with the steel coaster look.
Steel.
And I don't think that's been done before.
Why don't? Okay, with that, can't we just find a different coaster that has steel supports? Like,
I wanted the RMC track.
Yeah, so you can mix the two. So basically what people do is they'll build one coaster on top of another.
Oh, you could do that, yeah.
Yeah, so basically
that'd be cool to see.
This is riding over another coaster. You just don't use the other coaster.
Yeah.
You just don't turn it on.
That would be cool.
So you could you could steal the supports off of even a monorail if you did it right. You know what I mean? Like people have done that in the past where they use RMC supports on a like a steel like coaster. Or what I recently featured, somebody did an inverted RMC. So they had the RMC riding, they had an inverted coaster riding on RMC tracks or supports. So I was like, what the heck?
Totally.
So
if no one wants to do that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff too. And I think you could even, what's the coaster type over here? That's a winged launch.
It's the fourth dimension, actually. It's got the axis.
Oh, ooh, that's actually really good for a wind coaster. Because, like, when the wind starts blowing, it flips around and turns. You know, like, it's blowing the seats around.
Yeah, I'd love for there to be, like, some head chopper moments on this coaster.
Yeah.
Because I love.
And you have all these literal things for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, you can imagine like when you're going up and through, like this, how the seats would change your angle. You'd be passing through these backwards, and then you could go actually up and over again, and then spin the thing, so you're now passing backwards again. So the X Dimension coaster allows you to spin and rotate the seats, but also flip the car axis. So pretty wild coaster. We actually haven't seen a good X Dimension in a hot minute. That's pretty cool that you included that. So yeah, you have some extra scenery plots. You have wind turbine field. You also have solar panel field. And you have something for this one.
It's the dam.
The dam.
So that's the main dam, and then there's another dam for the track ride.
So,
but this will be the main one.
So with that, I guess you're not just making a bunch of windmills. You're probably going to have some sort of facility that harnesses all the power and batteries it and that sort of thing. That's why you have a building limit here. So I know Alan had a parking lot, but a lot of most of the parks don't have anything like this. So, you know, you have to find a way to challenge yourself to make it very, very like unique, but then also include this big power facility that looks really cool. And then when we put that on a map or whatever, and we judge it against all the other scenery pieces, it still has this like competing factor. It's like, wow, this looks awesome all on its own. Then you put it into the park and it just like makes sense, right?
Yeah, and looking at these actually gives me another idea for some more community extras, is a way to transport the power around the lands, which I think it would be an interesting challenge too, because you don't want to just do power lines because those don't really fit that sleek, elegant feel. So creating some interesting new ways of transporting power could be some fun ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could have like some towers and stuff, but you know, we could just pretend that the power is underneath the ground, and then they go to these towers. Yeah, so little like battery points, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let's talk about some of your flat rides, because obviously you want to try to build some of these into the theme of the planet. This is like a giant water turbine. I imagine you're gonna get wet if you go on this.
I think so. Maybe a little bit. Might need a sign warning people.
Water effects and heavy foliage is one of the mandatory things there. So yeah, I could imagine this being a power facility made out of water itself, which is pretty cool. Do you have any other ones that are interesting to talk about here? What's this guy? Insanity Forge wind turbine, and it spins. The claw machine. That makes sense. Or you could use this one.
Which also kind of just spins, so it'd be cool if if you position the ride up there a little bit higher up in the ground, and then have those be like the wind turbine spinning, so you can see those from the base as well. I really like the idea of the Ferris wheel being just encompassed in these huge buildings.
Yeah,
we've seen that happen a few times, and I quite like that look.
Yeah, wind turbines. So a lot of the stuff like in embodying that motion in this area is kind of important, right? Like the rides themselves are motion machines. And if you're building this building here, it's okay to incorporate some of that, right?
Yeah,
because there's moving pieces in the animatronics section of this game. So, you know, like just like some people over here might have solar panels on their rooftops somewhere, you might have wind turbines on the tops of these buildings, right? And we've talked about this with previous builds. Like you've done something interesting with the, what do you call it?
The volume cubes.
Yeah, they're just frames, but we said to everybody a 60% likeliness, so if you want to change the shape of this, that's okay, right? The shape, the size.
They're just suggestions to get the ideas flowing.
Yeah, so you could make this a little shorter, or you could make it two pieces or whatever, like one side's higher, one side's lower, or whatever, right?
Totally.
You could change the style and the shape of it like a little bit. 60% likeliness is what we're aiming for on all of these. It's a Dex R shop. So, do you have any characters or Planet Coaster stuff? I guess that's a talking point. You have Looney Balloons, Dexar, that they can incorporate into some of these shops.
Yeah, and most of the shops,
Cosmic
besides I think the food spaceships would be the main ones where it's like the ship is the Cosmic Cow ship.
Yep.
The other buildings would probably be, you know, they have the main color schemes, but then, you know, a few signs and a little bit hints of the colors of the actual shops themselves. But I don't think it'd take over the buildings.
Well, that is part of the fun of the shop contest too, but like if you have Dexar's pizza, it's like the Pizza Planet, maybe you can incorporate some of that. Like This is the
Yeah,
entrance,
totally.
and it's basically a giant Dexar body, and you're going in his mouth to get inside,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go inside. It's literally like Pizza Planet in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do say, like, with a lot of these skyscrapers, I said this for Chance as well. If you have like just enormous buildings, which you do, you might find that you build the whole building, especially with their sleek shapes and stuff. People are gonna have to like duplicate, rotate. There might be an estimated a lot more pieces than normal. So what I will be allowing people to do is, like, if you're doing an interior, you could do like a 4K there, and that's like a, you know, you're submitting that 4K interior as a blueprint of its own. So it's like this, right? It's the inside here. And then the shell is the other 4K. And I will allow people to go to up to 8K in the case that like their building design's so nuts and they still want to do an interior, because obviously with these shops, the most fun part about them is decorating the aesthetic of what it's like when you go in. When we're walking around, this is a park spotlight. We don't want to just see that's the Dexar building and the food is literally on the outside. We want to go inside and you know, get a vibe, right? So for these massive buildings, just like with Chance, I'm definitely going to allow people to do 4K shells and 4K interiors. Now, once you get inside and you're building a 4K interior, it's probably not going to be 4K, but you'll be allowed that. And I think that's completely reasonable considering how big your buildings are, right?
Yeah, I try to keep them within reason. Definitely they are big, so it's hard to judge what, especially with this kind of unique sci-fi theme. It'll be interesting to see how many pieces it actually takes.
Yeah, one thing I just noticed here is you have a monorail, so that's something you have to include, or like...
Yeah, there's a few buildings that just mention, you know, take note that, you know, you can use the monorail for some cool features, but also it goes through some buildings, so be aware of that.
You're gonna have to build some sort of tunnel or just build underneath it or over it, right? Like there will be some sort of underpass or pass through. So however you want to integrate that with your builds, like this one goes right through.
Yeah, they go right through it.
So that's like a constraint, that's a challenge, and you're gonna have to work that into your building, but also test it so when the monorail passes through that it fits, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool. So any other interesting talking points here that we might have missed that you want to add in?
Do we want to take a look at some of the lighting examples?
Yeah, let's do that.
Get a kind of plot on each side. I do want to make sure everyone's clear that we're not making these glow the entire buildings, these colors. These are going to be the bright points.
Right.
But it's kind of a transformative park from day to night, where the color schemes kind of shift from each land, but then at night they kind of look fully different colors from each other again.
Right. So by that you mean like this is the green blue area, but they use orange lights.
Yes.
And this is the orange area, but they use green lights. That's very cool.
There's no with the white, it's going to use the blue. So they still give those kind of warm, chilly, depending on what planet they are, but very different from day to night.
Yeah, so one thing that's also another good example, I'm not sure if everybody's aware of this, but there's the editable signs. These glow.
They do, yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, but they actually emit light. So you have two different lights that combine together. So you have your hot spot and you have your general light. So here we have like a cyan, and then outside is like a blue. So in the case that you wanted to, let's see here, as that's like your primary light source, you kind of want to color signs like this, the cyan color. So this actually emanates a little bit of a glow. I don't know if you can notice it, but depending on what you put it up against, you'll see a little bit of a glow come off of it. You can see something reflecting in the background there. See that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they do like have a little bit of light, but these are oftentimes really good to make for building trims. You know, like, whoops, I got and lost it. But you can wedge these into the sides of buildings, and they're really good for like shops and stuff. So this would be kind of like your primary color, right? And if you lined them around the trim of a building, then what you would do is you would take an area light or a floodlight that uses the your secondary color choice, which is the darker blue, and you would have that sort of like coming off of that a little bit, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you get that extra hue. It's not gonna look great on a green backdrop, but then you guys get the idea, though.
Yeah, if you put a light source in, give it a light source, then put the actual light source in, then it'll glow
But
That's actually
you'd want an area light, not a floodlight.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you get the idea where it's like kind of blue around the cyan, and then you dim that down.
Yeah, it's the majority of the TMTK that I allowed is some of the kind of neon glowing lights, just to kind of give some more options too, to kind of do more stuff like that.
Right. Where are those? Are they on the map?
They're on the front in the little board. Yeah.
Ah,
Well,
perfect.
those little neon doodads and just a few sci-fi bits as well.
Are these recolorable?
Yes.
Nice. So you could
I put 'em
use
in
these in
everywhere.
each of the different areas.
Yep.
So yeah, again, like you would get your base color. So if you're doing it over here, it would be like a yellow, and then you would put like an orangey, or no, it's orange on the inside and yellow on the outside, right? So
Yeah, a little bit warmer on the inside and a little bit more yellow on the outside.
So yeah, you would get almost like an orange light over for your doodad bits here, and then you'd have an area light around that that's more yellow, right? So that's pretty cool. So if you want to have like this kind of trim and weird bits on your buildings, he's giving you a bunch of text as well. Those are really nice. Yeah. So use these for your shops and stuff, your Dexar shop and all that stuff. Yeah, so the lighting's really cool. Don't go too crazy with it. We don't want to see like a green Poison City or whatever, but however you use it subtly for the different bits, you have chosen 3 very distinct color sets for your lights. Very, very cool. Anything else you want to add here, or did we miss anything?
I think just the rest of the document just kind of gives some brief rules, and if you want a little bit more details per plot, it's there as well if you guys want to look at those.
Wait, did I miss something in the doc? Oh wait, I totally missed a bunch.
It's kind of just, it's mainly...
Why did it stop scrolling for me when I got...
I don't know.
Oh, well now I feel like I didn't do... I thought we were at the end when we hit the documentation. But yeah, the park rules and stuff, so you have some different rules, but they're more specific per...
And it's mainly just as well, these are very similar to the actual signage inside the park, so it's 2 locations.
I didn't have it up on the screen here. My bad. There we go. So anyways, go ahead.
So yeah, it's a lot of the text here is for the individual plots is more specific, but it's also very similar to the stuff that's actually in the park, just so it's all in one place as well. And then the park rules, just general things as well, just apply to all of them, so just keep it all consistent. Yeah.
Yep. So if you get a plot, you have the rules on the plot itself, but there might be some additional information you could find here with the hyperlinks and all of that. Very, very cool.
And then just the images there, just a little bit examples of more of the tech ones, because the wind turbine, solar and stuff, just for a little bit more inspiration for everyone.
This park here, sublines. You want to use this as inspiration.
Yeah, because it has a lot of solar panels and wind turbines too. So I just gave some examples, just trying to get people inspired and get the ideas flowing.
Right. Yeah. Very, very cool. Awesome.
So if anyone wants to go check those out in actual Planet Coaster, pick them apart, see how they work.
Yeah.
You got them.
Yes, great. Yeah, in-game references. That's sweet. All right, so there it is, everybody. That was Gamma Galaxy by Master Engineer02. At this point, the contest will be officially launching pretty soon. People will start getting their plots, so we've decided to break down everything in further detail in case anyone has any questions. But Master Engineer and all the other designers will be on Discord, as well as myself, to answer any questions that you have if they weren't already covered in these videos, but something for you guys to listen to while you build. So we just figured we'd go over all of these parks and some extras as well. So thank you for joining me here today, Master Engineer.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And thank you for building this park, and we'll see you all on Discord if you want to ask Master Engineer some extra questions. All right, we'll see you guys on Discord. Bye now.
Bye now.